Welcome everybody to Lane the Points with Luca Rosano. We are back live here on the Parlay streaming on Twitter, YouTube, Parlay TV, and many other outlets. You can find this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts on Apple iTunes as we come to you live every single day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Just a little programming note, we will not be doing the show tomorrow, but we will be back on Monday to talk about a lot of craziness that's expected to happen this weekend with the NBA playoffs as many teams get set for that and they get ready for game one of their respective series, most notably the Toronto Raptors. As you see the Raptors basketball in my backdrop, I'm super excited for it. A lot of people here in Toronto and in the country of Canada are excited for it, as we will see what happens this weekend. But before we get into that, let's quickly recap my picks from last night. If I got to tell you guys something off the bat, here's a piece of advice. Always trust your gut. And what do I mean by that? So I was right with the Hawks covering -5.5. They blew out the Hornets. It was an impressive display by the Hawks. But in the other game, I got it wrong. I originally wanted to take the Pelicans and I wanted to lay the points like the title of the show suggests. But then at the last second, when preparing for it, I saw some stats that backed up the Spurs and how good they were against the spread. So I went against my original pick, took the Spurs on record. And of course, the Spurs did not cover 5.5. They lost that game. So always trust your gut. Always go with your original pick. That is my tidbit of advice to begin the show. So overall, I did go 1-1 last night. I got the Hawks right, but I got the Spurs game wrong, as both the Hawks and the Pelicans now move on to Friday, where they will have a chance to get into the playoffs, needing to win one more time. Let's talk about those games a little bit from a night ago. It was day 2 of the play-in tournament, and the first game, I'm not going to lie, it was not an entertaining one. I mean, it was if you're a Hawks fan. But from an overall basketball mind perspective, this was a game that was dominated by the Atlanta Hawks. And they got great contributions from Trae Young, Hunter, Clint Capella. And the Hawks just looked like they were a cut above than the Hornets in this game. And the Hornets, they're going to have a long offseason ahead. This is the second straight time that they've been eliminated in the play-in. They've only won a playoff series once since, I think, 2002. Like, this has been a franchise that has not had any sort of success. And this was a fan base. They saw how this team started at the beginning of the season, and they had high hopes. They had at least hopes of getting into the playoffs. But now, for the second straight year, you make it to the play-in, and you're ousted. And it's the way you lost that has to have you feeling a little bit concerned. I mean, this was not close. The Hawks put on a show. And again, home court advantage is very important, especially in these one-game playoff environments. But the Atlanta Hawks were clearly the better team, and they will now give the Cavaliers all they can handle. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but this is a Hawks team that they're getting hot at the right time. And as soon as I saw this game and as soon as I saw the line, I did not hesitate. I knew the Hawks were going to win this one comfortably. In the other game, the Pelicans and the Spurs, it was one-sided as well. But then, you got to credit the Spurs. They did make this game a little bit of a game late. They went on a run in that fourth quarter, closed the gap, but then the Pelicans went on a run to put this game on ice. CJ McCollum, he was huge in this game, 32 points in the win. But what had everybody talking about this game was actually what happened before the game. Zion Williamson, who's been out for a while, was seen in pretty good condition. I mean, this guy was doing 360 dunks. He was putting on a show before the game, as you see right here. Look at this guy. This does not look like a man who is injured. This does not look like a man who's unhealthy. And this had a lot of Pelicans fans thinking to themselves, hey, can Zion suit up tonight? So Zion Williamson, he is still out indefinitely, but he is progressing well, clearly, as you see from that highlight clip. And that's going to be interesting if some way, somehow the Pelicans get in. Could Zion suit up at all? I don't think he will. I don't think we'll see Zion this season. But it is good to see Zion Williamson back out there on the court and actually look impressive with some of those dunks that you saw. So that is a positive for the Pelicans. And then to add to that positive, they won the game. They beat the San Antonio Spurs, another team that loses in the play-in tournament for the second straight time. And I guess the negative of the play-in is if you're one of these teams like the Spurs and the Hornets and you know you have no shot of making noise in the playoffs, but you're not that bad. You almost have to play this play-in game, and it almost screws your draft positioning because like these are two examples in the Spurs and the Hornets that would come nowhere near a playoff spot if we went back to the old way of doing things. So I know the play-in tournament has its pros and cons. I know a lot of people are in favor of it, but a lot of people don't like it for reasons like this. It does feature teams that do have no business being in the spot, and the Hornets and the Spurs, two teams that did not really put up any bit of a fight in those games. I mean, the day one was great, but day two, from an overall perspective, not as entertaining to say the least. You knew who were going to win those matchups, and you knew who the better team was right when the game started. So, day two is in the books of the play-in tournament. We got the Pelicans and the Hawks, moving on, and we got the Spurs and the Hornets going home. Now let's get into day three of the tournament, which will go tomorrow night. So there's an off night tonight, no games being played. Tomorrow, we are going to have some good games. And the first one, the Hawks, a slight favorite on the road against the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are hoping to have Jared Allen back. But the Hawks being favored here does not surprise me at all. I'm actually surprised the line is this small. I thought the Hawks were going to be an even bigger favorite on the road because of these stats right here. And the man you see on your screen, Trae Young, has dominated the Cavaliers this season. 3-1 the Hawks are against the Cavs. And look at the numbers Trae Young has put up. He didn't even have a Trae-like type performance against the Hornets. So you better believe Trae Young is going to save his best for last to get his team into the playoffs, averaging better than 30 points per game. He has torched the Cavaliers all season long, whether it's fadeaways, whether it's pulling up from three, whether it's making plays. You see what he does there with the basketball. Step back three makes it look so easy. Yes, the Hawks are going to be on the road, but the Cavaliers have not convinced you at all that they are a team you need to trust in this spot, going up against a Hawks team that not only is getting hot at the right time, but if they get in to take on the Heat, that's a very interesting first round playoff opponent for the Miami Heat. The Hawks could definitely give the Heat all they can handle when you got a superstar type guard like Trae Young and some of the supporting cast members stepping up like they did last night. So this is not going to be easy for the Cavs. Yes, they did show some fight late in that game against the Nets, almost coming back. But I just do not think the Cavaliers are going to be able to handle a team in the Hawks that know how to win big games, a team that is just 1 year removed from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And this Hawks team thrives in adversity. They thrive as the underdog. Well, in this case, they're the favorite, but they thrive playing big games on the road where Trae Young can quiet the home crowd. So I like the Hawks in this matchup. I would lay that too gladly, and I think they win and move on to take on the Heat in what will be a very interesting first round playoff matchup. I'm not saying they can upset the Heat, but they'll give the Heat all they can handle. And if you're the Heat, you would much rather want to play the Cavs, in my opinion, than this hot Hawks team that's clicking at the right time. And in the second game and the final game of day three of the play-in tournament on Friday night, Pelicans taking on the Clippers. Clippers, no surprise here. The favorites, they're going to be at home. And I'm going to lay the points here as well. I like the Clippers to get into the playoffs and bounce back. This was a team that should have beaten the Timberwolves. They collapsed. And if there's no collapses that happen here, they should be able to get on through against this Pelicans team. As you look at Paul George, the Clippers overall have been better since he's been back from his injury. 4-1 since March 29th, averaging 22.6 points. 52% from three, 6 assists, 2.8 steals. And the key for the Clippers in this one is just, can they hold on to a lead? They looked very good in that road game against the Timberwolves, and it looked like they were on their way to win that game. Karl Anthony Towns fouls out, and then they just completely fall out of it in the last final 7 minutes of that ball game. But the Clippers, they're going to be going home. They're going to have that home crowd in their back corner. This is a team that is good enough to be in the playoffs. I would be shocked if they drop this game to the Pelicans, but it's not going to be easy. The Pelicans have been playing really well. They got gamers like CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram who can go off, but I just like the playoff experience of Paul George and some of these other guys, Reggie Jackson, to step up at home and send this Clippers team into a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals, which would be a first-round playoff series between them and the Phoenix Suns. That would be very interesting to watch. So the Clippers first got to win this game to make that happen. I think they do. I will lay the 4. Give me the Clippers to knock out the Pelicans. So I got Hawks -2, and I got Clippers -4 to advance to the playoffs. And then speaking of playoffs, that's going to bring us to my highly anticipated first round NBA playoff predictions. So I'll start by saying this. If it is in fact Hawks, Heat, I'm going to go with the Heat. I'll say the Heat in 7. I really think the Hawks will push the Heat to the limit. And then if it's Clippers and Suns in the other 1 versus 8 matchup, I'm going to go Suns in 7 as well. I think the Clippers are going to push the Suns and have a chance to win that series. You saw what this team did with Kawhi last year against the Suns. They're not going to be intimidated to go up against a familiar foe. But ultimately, I have both number 1 seeds getting through and not getting upset. Now let's look at the other playoff series that we know for a fact are happening. And we're first going to start with the Toronto Raptors taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. The playoff series I'm most looking forward to, and rightfully so. And a lot of people are looking forward to this series. A lot of people coining this as the best first round playoff series, and rightfully so. There's going to be a lot at stake here. Ultimately, though, I'm going with the Raptors in 6. I think when it comes down to it, the Raptors are healthy. They got the playoff experience, and it just comes down to me not trusting the Philadelphia 76ers. What the hell have the Sixers proven to us over the last couple of years that suggests you can take them seriously or actually take them in this type of spot against a Raptors team that does have a proven track record? I don't trust Doc Rivers. I don't trust playoff James Harden. I can see him struggling in the series. And I think a lot is going to fall on Joel Embiid, and it's going to be too much. The Raptors know how to neutralize the other team's best players, and it's going to come down to those other guys from Philly stepping up. And if that doesn't happen, the Raptors should have a pretty good time in this series, which is why I have them in 6. I can see the Raptors taking game 1. And then I can see the Raptors go back to Toronto and take both those games. I can see them going up 3-1 in that series, Philadelphia taking 1 in Philly, and then the Raptors closing things out at home at Scotiabank Arena in a Game 6 environment. So I am not hesitating when I say Raptors are winning the series, and I am confident in saying that. This was a very good first-round matchup for the Raptors, and this was the worst first-round matchup for the Sixers. They've lost 3 of 4 against the Raptors in the regular season, and 2 of those games did not have Van Vliet or OG. Actually, I believe 3 of them didn't have both those players. So now you're talking about a healthy Raptors team coming into this one with a nothing-to-lose mentality and all the pressures on Philadelphia's side. I would not want to be a Sixers fan in this position. So give me the Raptors in 6. I think it's going to be a very disappointing season for Philadelphia. So that's the first playoff matchup there. The next one, Bulls-Bucks. I wanted to kind of make this one quick and disrespect the Bulls, if you will, and I might just have to. Am I going to go Bucks in 4 here? You know what? I'll give the Bulls a game. But I got the Bucks winning this pretty quickly. I got Bucks in 5. The Bulls, we know the stat. 0-4 against top 3 teams in both conferences. Now you have a 7-game series against the top 3 team in your own conference, a team that you have struggled mightily against. And that's being fair giving the Bulls a game, because I would not be surprised if this one ends in a sweep. But I do see DeRozan coming through for hopefully at least one playoff game in Chicago, giving that Bulls fan base at least one win to celebrate. But overall, the Bucks head and shoulders too much for the Bulls to handle here. Giannis is going to be putting up MVP type numbers. Jrue Holiday is one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. Chris Middleton has stepped in nicely as that secondary scorer to Giannis. The Bucks, they got that depth, and the Bulls did nothing of significance towards the end of the season that leads you to think that they're going to make this series competitive. So I got the Bucks in 5. This is going to be quick. And again, I would not be surprised if it ends in a sweep. Crazy season for the Bulls. They went from a team that could maybe be last year's Phoenix Suns to now a team that we're questioning whether or not they can win a damn playoff game. Next series. Celtics Nets. This is going to be, if not the Raptors Sixers, this is going to be the best first round playoff series in my opinion. I mean, all these series are going to be really good. I cannot remember the last time I've been genuinely excited about every single first round playoff series. Usually you know who's going to win convincingly in the first round of the NBA playoffs, but this year you don't know what you can expect. And this is one of those series. And I've been going back and forth on this one because the Boston Celtics are legit. And I really think if they win this series, don't be surprised if the Celtics go to the NBA Finals. This team has proven to do it all year. Well, not all year, but since the start of the new year at least. Their defense has been good. Their supporting cast, Tatum, Brown, stepping up in those roles and being the guys on this team. But can I really bet against the healthy Kevin Durant? Kyrie's back. And we just got word that Ben Simmons will be back for Game 4, which could be too late in this series, especially if the Celtics go up 3-0 or if the Nets go up 3-0. This is going to be tough. And this is going to be one that could be decided in a 6 or 7 game series, probably in 7. And it's going to come down to how Kyrie's going to play. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Kyrie in the series, obviously going up against his old team. He's going to want to shut up that fan base going back to Boston. But at the end of the day, I've been tooting the horn of the Nets, and I just can't go against them here. I got to go with the Nets in 7. Ideally, I would like the Nets to take care of business in 6, so you don't have to go play that Game 7 in Boston. But I think this will go the distance, and I do have the Nets taking this one. At the end of the day, it comes down to who do I trust more? Kyrie, KD, healthy as a duo, or Tatum and Brown, healthy as a duo? I got to go with the proven track record of KD and Kyrie. Both are NBA champions. Both have been there before. Both have won big games. So I got to go with the Nets in 7 in that series. But the winner of that series, mark my words, winner of that series, you ready for this one? Winner of that series gets to the NBA Finals. Whoever wins this series is getting to the NBA Finals. I think this is the toughest challenge for both these teams. With all due respect to the Bucks next round, I think the Bucks are going to wear out. But this is a series that will determine that finals matchup of who comes on out of the East. All right, next series. We got Timberwolves Grizzlies. And this can be the most fun playoff series. You talk about two teams that are going to be doing a lot of jaw dropping. Both these teams are going to go at each other. Pat Beverly against John Morant. I can't wait to see this one. Don't sleep on the Timberwolves. If by some way, somehow, we see an upset here, don't be shocked, because I know I wouldn't. But I'm not going to go with the upset pick here. I was close in doing so, but I will put some respect on the Grizzlies' name. I will honor what they did in the regular season. They just got too much depth. I mean, we saw how good they were without John Morant. It was reminiscent of how well the Raptors played in 2019 without Kawhi. And then we saw that thing come together in the playoffs. I'm not saying this Grizzlies team's going to get to the finals or win the championship, but I think they will at least get past the first round here. This is the 2nd seed. They've been doing it all season. One of the better home teams in the NBA. They're going to have home court advantage, but I would not be surprised if the Timberwolves maybe take 2, even 3 in this one. So I'm going to go with the Grizzlies. I'll go Grizzlies in 6. But again, this Timberwolves team, they're playing confident right now. And they got a chip on their shoulder. They got that swagger. They celebrated like they just won the championship. And now they're going up against a team that also excessively celebrates when they win. So this is going to be a hell of a series in terms of memes, poking fun, having a good time. I can't wait to watch this one. I'm actually really looking forward to this one in the West. This is going to be probably the series I most look forward to if we don't get Clippers Suns in the first round. If we get Clippers Suns, that'll be number 1 for me. But if that doesn't happen and the Pelicans win that game, this will be my number 1 most excited about playoff series. So I got Grizzlies in 6 here. Okay, next one. We got Jazz Mavs. So this is one where I've been going back and forth on too, because we don't know the status of Luca Doncic. Well, it has been reported that he's not going to play in Game 1, and we don't know if he'll even be out there for Game 2. So that changes everything, man. And rightfully so, you see there, the Jazz are the favorites because of that. And originally, I would have easily picked the Mavs to win this series with a healthy Luca. But because of the unknown of Luca Doncic and whether or not he's going to be back for any of these games. It's not like we know he's going to be back definitely. We don't know. We're playing this thing literally day by day. I got to take the Jazz here, and it pains me to say that, being, a guy who doesn't mind rooting for the Mavericks in the West. But the unknown, the uncertainty of Luka Doncic changes everything. You talk about the best player in the series being out. That's huge. Like, now you're expecting guys like Finney Smith, guys like Spencer Dinwiddie to put all of the offensive load on their shoulders, and everybody needing to play perfect basketball for this Mavs team to win as a unit. They've done it before without Luka. But going up against a Jazz team that they too have a lot to prove, this might be the Jazz's last hurrah with Mitchell and Gobert as a duo. They're going to come out looking for the jugular. And I think the Jazz will really put the pressure on the Mavs if they can take game one here. Because then again, all of a sudden home court switches the Jazz's way. You don't know if Luka's coming back. That might be too much. So I'm doing a switcheroonie here. I originally liked the Mavs, but since we found out about Luka's injury, I'm going with the Jazz. Give me the Jazz in 6. I'm going Jazz in 6 with that one. And then in the final playoff series we're going to look at here, we got Nuggets and Warriors. This will be interesting. Steph Curry hoping to be back for game one. What's his health going to look like? But what I'll say is this. The Warriors are another very big unknown. Because this is a team that is very good when their big three is out there together. And this might be an instance where everybody gets to play with each other, but how is the health going to hold up? Will Steph Curry come back and look like his former MVP self? And by the way, he's going up against last year's MVP and a guy who could win it again in Nikola Jokic. But I will side with the Warriors here because the Nuggets will not have Jamal Murray. They will not have Michael Porter Jr. And ultimately, I think Jokic will need more help to go up against the big three that is the Golden State Warriors. And I'm not even talking about other guys like Jordan Poole who can go off in the series and win a game himself. So I do not think we're going to have a scare here or an upset. If you're a Warriors fan, I have the Warriors getting through in 5 or 6. It's going to depend on which version of Steph we get. If Steph comes back for game one and he looks good, this one will be done in 5. If he misses game one, I can see it going to 6, but ultimately I got the Warriors getting on through in 5 or 6. So those are my predictions for round 1 of the playoffs. To quickly recap, Raps in 6 over the Sixers. I got Bucks in 5 over the Bulls. I got Nets in 7 over the Celtics. I got Grizzlies in 6 over the Timberwolves. I got Jazz in 6 over the Mavs. And I'll say Warriors in 6 over the Nuggets. Those are my playoff predictions for the first round. And then if we get Hawks Heat, I'll go Heat in 7. If we get Suns Clippers, I'll go Suns in 7. I was really close to picking the Clippers. As you all know, I have a future championship bet on the Clippers, but I don't think they'll beat the Suns in the first round. If it was Clippers Grizzlies, I would have confidently taken the Clippers to upset them, but Suns are a different animal right now. Who knows? Maybe we do see some crazy upsets here in the first round. We'll see. But those are my picks. Let me know what your picks are. That's going to conclude another great edition of Laying the Points with Luca Rosano. I'm your host, Luca Rosano. We stream live every single Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find this on YouTube, Twitter, Parlay TV, Parlay.com, Apple iTunes. And yeah, your support is greatly appreciated. Enjoy your long weekend. We'll be back at it again on Monday to talk about the NBA playoffs and more. This is Luca Rosano signing off. Take care. We'll see you next time. Good luck with your bets.